What is it you want, Barry? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Come with me if you want to live.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
The Force will be with you, always.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a bonus episode of 20th Century Geek. I'm your regular host, Scott Weatherly, and we are going to be talking about those things that lurk in the night, the things that go bump in the night, and the reporter that chases them down. I'm joined by James Aquilone.
That's right.
Yeah, you got it right. And James, you are reaching back into sort of like pop culture history, and you're bringing back a character who I think many people will know. But you're doing a special little project that caught my fancy. Do you want to tell the listeners who you are and what you are doing?
Well, my name is James Aquilone, and I'm a writer and editor from New York. And right now, I'm editing and running the Kickstarter campaign for the Kolchack, the Night Stalker 50th anniversary graphic novel.
Yes, excellent. And it's not just a graphic novel. There's different tiers of this thing. There's going to be, is it 10 or 11 stories in there? But there's going to be some prose stories as well, isn't there? Potentially.
No, definitely in the deluxe hardcover, there'll all be 10 prose stories. And right this second, I think we're like $30 away from adding Steve Niles, which would be the 12th comic book story.
Wow. So you're doing well. So it's doing well on the Kickstarter. But obviously, this thing is running up to the 11th of February, I believe.
Well, it's really midnight on Thursday night.
Right.
So Kickstarter Conic, midnight. They're considering it Friday, but no, it's midnight. Well, midnight Thursday, like Eastern Standard Time. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be getting so there's links below. I'll be tweeting about it. So go check it out. So, but first and foremost, for those that don't know Kolchack, because I'm sat here as a Brit, and what I would say is though, I'm a nerd. I'm a massive geek, and I know all these things. So I'm well aware of Kolchack, but there may be those that aren't. So let's take a trip back to 1974 and sort of the TV series is more my thing. Okay. So if we go in the sort of 50th, we're going to be talking about the movies or the TV movies. So let's give it a little bit of a history lesson. So James, tell us about Kolchack.
Well, Kolchack started with 2 TV movies. The first one was The Night Stalker, and that came out in 1972. Then the next year, they came out with The Night Strangler. And then the year after that, they came out with the TV series, which ran for 20 episodes and was canceled. So that's what we have. We have the 2 TV movies, and then we have the TV series. And the 2 TV movies were written by Richard Matheson. But they were adapted from, at that time, was an unpublished novel by Jeff Rice. And so Richard Matheson adapted the novel to make The Night Stalker. And then he wrote the second TV movie. And then Jeff Rice ended up doing a novelization of that script for a second book. And then Matheson wasn't involved in the TV series. But there were some pretty well-known guys who were just starting out in the TV series, because The Sopranos creator David Chase was a writer on the TV series. You had Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, who wrote an episode. And I think there were a few other guys who were pretty well known. So there were some great writers that were involved in the TV series and the TV movie.
Yeah, it's got some real pedigree. I mean, I didn't realize this because it's weird. I've seen this Night Stalker, the film. And it's just been because it was all to me. Again, I saw these. I caught these on late night TV when I was a lot younger, sort of like Channel 4, I think mainly. They all sort of blurred into one. Like I didn't know the history. It wasn't sort of till I've got to know these things. And it's got some pedigree. Like to see some of the creators and stuff that are involved in this thing, it's quite cool. And so it's weird that it only lasted such a short time. It's like one of those sort of like capsules of sort of like capturing something that's becomes a bit of a cult. Because I suppose we should just give a bit of a context. Carl Kolchack is he was a reporter based out of Chicago, and he works for the Independent News Service. And basically, he would often be investigating or researching a news story that would then tail end into a supernatural encounter, sort of starting with the vampire, which is the Night Stalker, and then go through all kinds of things in the TV show. For me, I mean, I'm really interested, sort of like to get. In fact, before we get into me, because that's all self-indulgent. Because this is in the 72, so this is the 50th, and you are a fresh face, and you are young, and I can't believe you were around in 1972. So
I wasn't.
Yeah. So what's your sort of history with Kolchack then? How did you come across the character and sort of form a love with him?
I think I came across it the same way you did. It was in reruns later on. They started rerunning it in the US in like the late 70s. So I think like throughout the 80s, then you would catch the TV movies and I think that the episodes in the TV series too, they would be like the late night movie or like the midnight movie. This is like, back before you even had VCRs and you can rent a video. So that was a big deal. Like you had to wait until like, especially for horror, you'd have to wait till like the midnight movie and I was a person who was always up late. So that's the only time you can see that stuff. And that was a big deal. That was a big deal when they would like, put on some movie like I think like Friday nights. It used to be like the movie of the week.
Yeah.
And so that was like HBO when it was like they finally put on like the movie that came out like 2 years ago. So that's how I saw it. I mean, I don't remember seeing it for the first time, but it was always around for me, so I always knew it.
Yeah, it's not big in the UK. Like it's one of those sort of like it's an obscure character, but he is quite an interesting one.
It didn't run there.
No, it did, but like again, late night on a sort of on Channel 4. And I think it was sort of. I remember it being on, like a weeknight, like a 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and sort of being one of those.
In the 80s?
90s. I caught it in the 90s.
Okay, with the X-Files probably.
Yes, and I think that's what it was, like, because one of the other channels, and now also the BBC was running the X-Files, and so I think there was other channels were like jump on the bandwagon.
Okay, yeah.
And we had runs of Kolchack, and so I caught quite a few of the episodes of the TV series, and even then I was like, well, this feels very X-Filesy. And then I learned that obviously Chris Carter said that this was an inspiration, or at least an influence on it. But I watched it back. So in the last couple of days, I've gone back and watched it on. I bought the TV series and stuff on Prime, and so I've been got back and watching the episodes. And I was like, yeah, I've watched it for a while. It's really good. It sort of stands up pretty well, actually. Like the character of Kolchack is really interesting. And it's not as problematic as many things that come out of the 70s are, which is good.
Yeah.
But then the character's interesting. Like he's an interesting character. I don't know what are your thoughts on him as a character. Do you think he stands up as in pop culture?
Yeah, because I've been rewatching it, and I was like, this actually holds up. I mean, it's still pretty good. I mean, obviously, like the makeup and the special effects aren't that great, but I felt like that was always the cool thing, like about Doctor Who. Especially like Doctor Who in the 70s with Tom Baker. The writing was amazing and the acting was really good, but the monsters and the creatures looked terrible. But when you're a fan, you look past that and you say, this is just a great show. And I think Kolchack was kind of our version of that in the 70s. We had like the cheap looking monsters, but it was really great acting and it was really great writing. There was always really good dialogue, so it was usually funny. And Darren McGavin was great. He held up that whole show. So I mean, he was in most scenes. It was him. There were really no subplots on those episodes. You never even saw Kolchack like in his house or an apartment. He didn't have a girlfriend. He didn't have friends. He was just always on the job, and it was always that the main story was the only story. So he really had to carry it, and he was able to carry it. So I don't know if it would have worked if it was somebody else in there. So he was really the key to it. And it is a cool character. I mean, he's not like he's not your typical hero. He's kind of like this down and out reporter who's always struggling, and he just happens to stumble upon a monster and then nobody believes him. So it's just a fun series.
Yeah, no, I agree. He is. I think you're right about sort of the actor and McGavin, because I think, like you say, he carries it. And I hadn't, like you said, there's no subplots. This is old school TV, and like he brings that humor as well, like you said, like because it could be flat. Like if someone was to do this like really earnest or something else, like it would fall flat. It would feel silly. But he sort of like he plays it like he's in the know. Like there's that little bit of tongue in cheek, and like I was just watching, I was flicking through the episodes and stuff, and I watched The Vampire the other day. The fourth episode in the series, and he's talking to people and he's saying like when the bodies were found, did they have like fang marks in the neck, and everyone's sort of looking at him, and he knows it's ridiculous, but. And he pulls it off so well that he's endearing, he's charming to watch, and you want to follow him along. So, yeah,
that's the thing. I think also when you maybe have the low production value, maybe make it a little more fun, and maybe kind of lean into the fact that maybe this is a little silly. I think when we get to the 90s and you get to the X-Files, X-Files didn't have really any humor. It was dark and it was serious, but they had the production value at that time, and it worked, and I don't know if they could have pulled that off in the 70s, but I like that, and I like that it was just fun series, and yeah, they didn't take themselves too seriously.
No, and the other thing I'd say is Kolchack, he's an old school character. I'd say he's an even older school character than the 70s. Like he reminds me of that sort of like the sort of like even like he's like a gumshoe. He's like a private detective, he's like a Sam Spade of like journalist, supernatural journalist, and he's obviously in a long line of like supernatural detectives that aren't magical, sort of like the Karnacki the files, or John Silence. He's got all these things in its history. I'm like, oh, he's an amalgamation, and they've just modernized him, and he's sort of it's in the know. And I kind of like that it has that wink and a nod to its audience. Even then in the 70s, like you said, it's like, we know, like, we're going to have a Bigfoot episode or a vampire episode or an aliens episode, and it's going to be a bit silly, but we're going to do this stuff. Because the thing is, it's always murder as well. There's always someone like, is killed, or, so it comes with stakes. And that's the thing I kind of like about it as well. It never sort of patronizes. It knows it's fun, but it never patronizes its audience, which I thought was quite cool.
And at the time, people were frightened by it, and even rewatching, there are some creepy scenes. I know the Firefall, is that the name of it? With the doppelganger. And there's a scene where like Kolchack is in the church, and the doppelganger is up in like this window, and he's jumping around, and I'm like, that's creepy, man. So there's still some creepiness to it, and a lot of people now as we're doing the campaign are saying, oh, I saw that as a kid, and it scared the crap out of me. And so it was definitely also horror. I mean, it had a lot of humor, but it was it was very good at like straddling the line between the horror and the humor, which is really hard to do.
Yeah, to me, it goes back to, I always think about when Abbott and Costello did sort of their films. It was like, you can do the humor, but the horror has to be straight. Like the horror is horror, and that's what this show, I think, then does it again. It's like, oh no, the monsters and the villains are monsters and villains. Like they are going to kill and they're going to do stuff, but then there's the humor and the interactions and stuff. And that's where I think it works, because like you say, the stakes are there, and I can see why people. I mean, this is one of the things that, like, you see about Doctor Who, and there's the tradition of sort of like watching it from behind your hand or from behind the cushion when you're a little kid. Like, I can so believe that was the same scenario, with kids sort of getting that thing, staying up late and watching some Kolchack and being like, oh my god, hiding behind a pillow. It's great for it.
I remember people saying, because I was a big fan of the Abbott and Costello movies, and that was probably my first experience with horror movies. Universal Monsters with Abbott and Costello, because I used to watch that like with my grandmother, and that used to be on like Sunday afternoons. There was like nothing on TV on Sunday, so the only thing that they would play would be Abbott Costello and like Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan movies. So it's all just black and white stuff. So I was very like aware of those old movies. And I remember like my grandmother saying like, the Abbott and Costello movies scared them. Like you said, they did when they did the horror part, that was like legit, and they had like Boris Karloff and the guys and Bela Lugosi. So they had, I mean, the humor went further than Kolchack, but they still had like legitimate horror.
Oh yeah. That's always seems to be the rule. They always play that, and that's what I think that you say. The show straddles that line incredibly well. One of the things you've mentioned though a few times is the reaction to this. The people that have supported it seems to be doing incredibly well. You're close to getting sort of Steve Niles on board. What has the reaction been? Like, have people got in contact and been like, oh, I'm really excited for this. This is really cool. Or I've always wanted one of this. Like, what's been the reaction to the Kickstarter?
It's been unbelievable. We've been promoting it like for 3 months before, and it was just getting people more and more excited. So I was really happy that once we launched it, we did well, and then people, when they saw all the stuff we had, were happy with it. And I've been getting tons of messages from people. Even Steve Niles, he reached out to us basically. He was on Twitter, and I think someone like tweeted at him and says, "Hey, I would love to see you do a Kolchack story." And he said, "Oh, I'd love to do Kolchack." And this guy was like, well, you should reach out to James. And then he like immediately followed me. I followed him back. And then I think I messaged him and I'm like, are you serious? Do you really want to write a story? And he's like, yes, I want to do it. And like, I kept asking him, I was like, can we announce this? Is this okay? Because yes, go ahead. So I was just like, I was floored. So I couldn't believe that. But we have had a bunch of people reach out to us and they want to get in the book. And of course, we have limited space, so that's hard. I've had like people from Hollywood reaching out. People like, I want to reboot the series, but we don't have the rights to do that. We just have the literary rights. So I think if we had the dramatic rights, we probably could get this thing rebooted in some form.
Now, when you look at this thing of like leaning into the nostalgia and things being rebooted, like now is the time. Like who knows if this book is successful? You like see Steve Niles on board and you're getting some attention. Like who knows? They did try a reboot. Is it in like 2004, 2005? There was like a bit of a.
I think
I've never seen that. I don't know if it's any good or not. I'm assuming because I've never really seen it. I'm assuming it wasn't great.
No, it didn't do well at all.
But I'm so glad this is getting some, it's getting that support and stuff. It's so cool that people are reaching out. And do you think, if this goes well, and this is obviously for the 50th anniversary, it's going to be on the go check out the Kickstarter for the different levels. You've got everything from sort of like just supporting through to PDF versions of the standard and the deluxe, paperback version, and then you've got the big deluxe hardback edition. Oh, I'll tell you what the other thing. Sorry, I was looking through some of the artwork for the covers. How did they come about? Did you seek the artists out, or was it like what was the deal there? Because some of those are cracking.
Yeah, they were like we reached out to them with J.K. Woodward. He had worked with Peter David, so Peter David got involved. So I wanted artists who had already worked with the writers. So I asked Peter David who he wanted to work with, and he said, I worked with J.K. Woodward on Fallen Angel, and so we asked him, and then he was doing like amazing art. So I said, hey, do you want to do a cover? And I said, I gave him like 3 ideas, and one of them was an homage to like one of my favorite Batman covers.
I noticed that, yeah.
And that's what he wanted to do. He says, oh, I want to do the Batman homage, and I said, okay. I was like, that's the one I would have picked, but I didn't want to, I wanted to, do a choice. Because some people don't want to make maybe like, do an homage or do, something else's work. But he went for it, and it was amazing. And that fits so perfectly with Kolchack, because they had like the Monster of the Week thing going. And then Batman, and the cover is the Rogues Gallery, and it has all of the Batman's, villains like on the wall, and Batman's in in the
in the doorway. It's a great cover. They're fantastic. I was really impressed. Like, and you got to tell you, to check out some of the art on the Kickstarter. It's really cool. So yeah, no, it's so good. But the same, this is a special. Do you think though, beyond this, have you thought like beyond this of like, oh, there's other things to do. There's, I could take this into, maybe try and take this to someone and do a regular comic, or IDW or Titan or whoever, or something, Boom or something. Or is it like, oh, maybe we'll do a 55th anniversary, we'll lead up to doing another one in 5 years? Right. Have you any thoughts about what the future holds?
Well, the Kolchack is with Moonstone Books, so they have the rights. And they do Kolchack. They've been doing Kolchack comics and books. And we've been talking already about, doing another Kolchack thing. So we do have an idea, and we are in like the very early planning stages. So I think it would happen, especially with the success of this project, and the fact that Moonstone is going to be putting out Kolchack books anyway. We might as well, partner on that and do another big project for Kickstarter. So that's that project's sounding good. So I hope it happens. A lot of times these deals don't go through, or it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But I think most likely we will be doing more Kolchack stuff. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there was a time a few years back when Moonstone was doing a regular Kolchack comic. I think he had a monthly comic going for a while.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I'd want to do like every month. I think I would want to do something like the way Mike Mignola does Hellboy, and like every now and then you come out with like a 6-issue series, and then collect it into like a graphic novel and do that. Maybe you can do it like once a year, or even like every couple of years, do like just a smaller story arc. I like the idea of doing that.
That'd be cool. Yeah, keep it special.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. So yeah, all I can say is I'm really excited for this. I've the links down below. I'm going to be donating. I've got it lined up. And I recommend anybody that's out there that's sort of like, because this podcast, 20th Century Geek, appeals to a certain demographic. Let's be clear, they're people that were most likely either alive or just after, like myself, that have experienced it. So we are key to this, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to what we're saying. This is fantastic. Go check it out. And I would say, even if you do go check out the Kickstarter, and you don't, you follow through or whatever, you don't want to support, like, you're not really into you, go check out Kolchack. Like, it's actually a really good show. Like, I've picked it up on Amazon Prime. The movies are on there. The TV shows are on there. Go check it out. Now, if Moonstone, I think Moonstone's on Comixology, so they may be on there. So I'll
or you go to the Moonstone
website.
Yeah. So there's Kolchack stuff out there. Yeah, I think YouTube has the TV movies for free, but I think they're bootleg. I don't know if you got the NBC app, because the NBC app has the TV episodes for free streaming.
So not in the UK, but if you're in the States, guys, there you go. The NBC, it's on the NBC app. Go check it out.
Yeah, as long as you just want to, it's okay if you're okay watching commercials. And they just came out with a Blu-ray. They came out with the Blu-ray for the season in October.
Okay,
and that had commentary by like Kim Newman and a bunch of other people.
Yeah, I do. I was getting a good point. For notice, you've got Kim Newman as well. Yeah, good guy.
Well, that's how I found him, because I was doing my Kolchack research, and then I saw they were coming out with a Blu-ray for the series this October, I guess in preparation for the 50th anniversary. And I was looking at the audio commentary, and it said Kim Newman is doing the audio commentary. Kim Newman's a Kolchack fan. So I was like, I'd love to work with him. And I was like, so I emailed him, and he was like, oh yeah, I always wanted to write a Kolchack story. So that was how I was finding people. I was just stumbling upon all the Kolchack fans, and like I said, some people reached out to me. But I would say most horror writers probably are Kolchack fans.
Yeah, it's part and parcel. I think it seems to be one of those sort of properties, or those sort of characters it's not widely known. Kolchack isn't widely known, but to those that know, I think it's those that like the fans, aren't it? So it's those things like if you know it, you love it. It seems to be that sort of thing. And this book is going to be is very exciting. I can't wait to see how. I'm hopefully all the success. I'm hoping for a big sort of big release, and it will hopefully sort of ignites a couple of people to know more about Kolchack. But James, I mean, anything else you want to pop, or you want to give a pop to, or want to promote whilst we've got the opportunity?
Well, like I said, we're gonna add Steve. I think. Let me see. I'm gonna refresh the page and see if we maybe on this show we can
a live update. There you go, live feed exclusive.
Yeah, so we have 9 days left. We probably will add Steve Niles today for the 12 stories. I think we should be adding some stuff to the campaign in the next few days. I'd like to add some like original art. Oh, speaking of Kim Newman, we most likely will have some original pages from Paul McCaffrey, who illustrated Kim's story.
Wow.
I think he's going to offer a couple of the pages through the campaign next week.
Wow,
so that'll be really cool.
Yeah,
and his story is amazing. He did. It's basically like an alternate ending to The Night Stalker. It's like kind of like how it should have ended, and so we actually hear from Janos, who then like gives an interview to Kolchack. It's called Interview with the Night Stalker.
nice.
So we might have some pages there, and we might add some other stuff. Yeah, so I mean, like we're trying to get to 100K, and I think we're on track to do that. But it's been stressful too, because I've been like pretty much doing this on my own, other than like my publicist helping me out. So it's like I can't wait for this thing to end too, because it's been crazy, and it's just like you just want it to be like, all right, we made our money, we got it, it's over, let's put the book together. And it's about half. We have half of the scripts are in, and we have so like 5 of the artists are already working on the story, on their stories. So other than like like Steve Niles and Gabriel Hardman, who we just added, we're pretty well on our way to getting this book together, and I'm hoping that it'll come out in October for Halloween, which would be
that'd be ace, wouldn't it? Yeah.
And there's crazy stuff going on in the world too, so there's a lot of like production like printing delays,
paper delays and that sort of thing.
Yeah, my last project was my last Kickstarter was Classic Monsters Unleashed, and that was a prose anthology, and that was all short stories based on the classic monsters like Dracula, Frankenstein. And right now we're waiting for it to be printed, and it's been delayed. We should have had the book out about a month ago, and now we're looking at maybe next week or the week after that. They said they're gonna ship us the books. So there are delays. So I'm hoping that maybe things a little bit more normal.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think we could then get it out, unless we have some people who don't get their stuff in early. I think we could do it. Yeah, I think we could do it in October. But we have a lot of books to print too. We have like 2,000 at this point. We already have close to 2,000 books sold, print books.
Wow, that's fantastic! It is. It's good news. This is a huge. It's a good success. I mean, that's really cool. Like you said, there's all these things that can happen. And I know, in my work, I work as a project manager, and I know the pain of sort of like chasing people up for the things they told you they're going to do.
That's exactly what I'm doing. A lot of people say, "Oh, you're the editor, so what do you just like fix up the grammar and stuff like that?" Especially even with like a prose anthology, they think if you're an editor, that's all you do. You're just fixing the stories. But it's really you're really a project manager, and you got to put this whole thing together. And it's really 2 things you're putting together. You're putting together the book, and you're putting together the Kickstarter.
That's
so it's a lot of emails.
Yes, I mean you are the heart of this, and I think that's impressive in itself. So when this does come up, and it will come off, I'm pretty sure of it, and it sounds amazing. Like when that arrives on my doorstep, I'll be like, "This is James's hard work. Like blood, sweat, and emails have gone into this."
And a lot of other people.
Yeah,
that's gonna be really awesome just to have the books. There's like really 4 books. Because we got the floppy comic. We got like a 40-page like regular comic. We have a soft cover. Then we have the hardcover, and the hardcover comes in a variant cover. So it's 4 books really.
It is, yeah, a lot of work, and so yeah, it's impressive. It's seriously impressive what you're doing. So, I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be amazing. Come on, people, get on and check it out. Let's see if we can make sure we get this up. So you want to get 100K? Let's get them over 100K. Let's see what we can do. Let's reignite love of Kolchack. I'm going to get some British people on Kolchack. I think they'll enjoy it.
Anyway. I think that would work. Yeah.
Oh, I think so. I think it'd go down massive over. I don't know why it hasn't. It should be a cult thing. But anyway, James, thank you so much for giving your time. As I say, this is going out on probably on this is going out. When you're listening to this, it should be the 3rd of February. Go and check out the link. It's all in there. Go check out the links below. Check out the Kickstarter. We'll be tweeting about it. Follow us on social media and everything to find out those links. And James, where can they find you on social media and everything else?
You can find me under James Aquilone. I'm pretty much the only James Aquilone out there. So, jamesaquilone.com, and then all my social media is there. And on the on Twitter, I'm also on the James Aquilone. We do have a Kolchack Twitter account, the official Kolchack Twitter account. That's Kolchack 50. So that's we're doing all our updates through that account. So you can follow us, and you might get Kolchack to follow you back. That's cool.
Well, that's it. Yeah, dude, I'll be doing that. I'll be following that, and obviously I'll be tweeting about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I say, sort of check out the Kickstarter, and I would usually do a bit of a sort of a spiel into this for our stuff, but I don't think that feels inappropriate. I should leave that. So go and check out James's social media. JamesAquilone.com will be linked down below, and also the Kickstarter. There'll be a link down to that down below as well. And what I'll say, if you will get in contact with us, if you like Kolchack, or if you have a memory of Kolchack, come find us on social media. Let us know. And if you're interested in doing, if you're interested and you've got some fan art or anything like, let's see it. I want to see this, and let's see the Kolchack love on the social medias. I think it'd be fantastic. But anyway, James, that's been wonderful talking to you. It's been very exciting. You're doing the God's work, as I say. You're doing some fantastic things.
By the way, we're over 85. We got Steve Niles.
There you go. There's a podcast exclusive right here on 20th Century Geek.
Yeah, we're on our way.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, James. I really appreciate your time. And people check it out. And James, I'll be in contact to learn more once after it's all success, and we'll get it on the social media. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and we shall talk to you again soon. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another great 20th Century Geek episode. Thank you for listening. If you would like to get in contact to suggest topics for future shows, or just chat about everything nerdy, you can email me at 20thcenturygeek@gmail.com. That's 20thcenturygeek@gmail.com. Or find me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Just search for 20th Century Geek. If you would like to support the show, please go on your podcast catcher and leave a 5-star review. I would greatly appreciate it. It raises the show in the ranks and lets more people know about the podcast. If you want to show more support for the podcast, we do have an Amazon wish list. Just go on Amazon and search for 20th Century Geek, and you will find a list of books that will help with research for future podcasts. And don't forget, we love secondhand books in 20th Century Towers. Once again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.